Hey there, welcome to Overcoming Imposter Syndrome in the cybersecurity field, or any field for that matter. If you have ever doubted your abilities or felt like a fraud in the vaster and ever-evolving industry, then this video is absolutely for you. Join us as we dive deep into understanding imposter syndrome, where I'll share my valuable insights and review proven strategies to boost your confidence and supercharge your cybersecurity career. In this video, I'll be featuring personal experiences, expert advice, and some inspiring stories that will empower you to face your fears and embrace your unique strength. So let's jump right into it and conquer imposter syndrome together. Now, as we dive into the world of imposter syndrome, it's important to remember that this phenomenon is widespread in the cybersecurity field. With such a broad range of roles and a constantly changing landscape, it's natural to feel overwhelmed or inadequate at times. I myself am not immune to imposter syndrome, even to this day. I personally suffer imposter syndrome anytime I'm about to give a presentation at a cybersecurity conference, or even get accepted to speak at a cybersecurity conference. Yes, Wild West Hackin' Fest, I spoke there. Imposter syndrome. B-sides a couple years ago. Why, Gerry? Why? Here's the thing. What can I tell these people, these other cybersecurity professionals in the audience, what they don't already know? How am I adding any value? Am I going to just be up there talking and they're going to be like, everybody knows this, Gerry. You're wasting our time. This is the inner monologue that I go through. And even though I have it, I still give the talk and I still lean into it because it's important to do that, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But what is imposter syndrome and why is it so prevalent in our industry? Let's break it down. Imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their accomplishments, worry about being exposed as a fraud, and often feel undeserving of their success. Sounds just like what I described every time I try to give a talk. In cybersecurity, the rapid pace of change and the sheer volume of information can exacerbate feelings of self-doubt. Even experienced professionals that have a CISSP and loads of experience can struggle with these feelings. You're not alone. As research has shown, upwards of 58% of tech employees experience imposter syndrome, and I bet you anything, another 30% of those people who answered that survey were lying. As a bonus, I'm also going to cover how to turn these negatives into positives and leverage your imposter syndrome as a tool for growth. I have done it personally. I've seen it work, believe me. Now that we've identified the issue of imposter syndrome, let's explore the negative aspects of it, discuss the silver lining, and learn how to transform this mindset into a catalyst for personal and professional development. As we tackle the negative aspects of imposter syndrome, it's crucial to acknowledge the struggles, setbacks, and disappointments that come with it. From feeling lost in a sea of information to being ghosted by companies after applying for jobs, these challenges can be disheartening. I myself have experienced this. When I got promoted to cybersecurity architect at the medical university I worked on, I had to take on cloud responsibilities because we had moved up into Azure, but this was a whole new paradigm. But at the same time, I was the most senior level cybersecurity technical person at the company. I'm the one everybody's looking at and expecting to know what to do. How do we secure this? But it's a whole new tech stack. Very challenging. I had to ask for help. I had to explain that I needed to get more training. You know, this person over here knows a little bit more about Azure, even though they're a mid-analyst. So I wasn't so high and mighty. I wasn't looking down because I was in the top role. I was being real about it. And it was scary, but I still asked because it's important to know, and we're going to get into some of the best practices later on in the video. Now, I've shared my experience, so why don't you share some of your experiences that you're struggling with or have struggled with down in the comments below, only if you're comfortable to share. I'm telling you what, it could be therapeutic for you and inspiring and supportive to others who are reading what imposter syndrome looks like. Trust me, it wasn't easy when I asked for help in that architect role, and it's kind of not easy to share the story with 60,000 people. This leads me to the next thing, positive strategies to approach this challenge. Now, stay with me here and let's punch imposter syndrome in the mouth. Some positive strategies, right off the rip. Reflect on your accomplishments. Celebrate your achievements, big or small. Remember, at one point you didn't know something, and then you worked, learned, developed, asked, and then you did know something. You pushed through and improved yourself. Remember what that was, because you can do it again, right? Embrace lifelong learning. The cybersecurity field is vast. It's wide, it's deep. You can go in a million different directions, which is why I love it. But just know that it is vast. No one, I don't care how awesome they are, No one knows it all. You need to adopt a mindset of continuous learning to stay up to date and relevant in this dynamic industry. And I'm telling you, this is probably the hardest thing for some people to accept or want to adopt to work in the field. There's no easy button. Every day you got to show up. You got to keep learning. Next month, it could be AI, right? You're going to have to learn how it is, because in order to protect and secure something, you have to understand how it works and how it can be compromised. Also, you need to build a support network. Surround yourself with like-minded professionals who understand the challenges and can offer guidance, encouragement, and resources to help you succeed. Make sure you revamp your resume. Ensure your resume accurately showcases your skills and experiences. Seek feedback from others and tailor your resume to the specific roles you're targeting. Yes, you want it to shape your resume to be for the role that you want to get. But for example, I have CCNA, the Cisco Network Associate certification. I got it 20 years ago. I can barely log into a router right now. I'd probably have to Google it if I'm honest with you. So it's not going to be on my resume because that would be ridiculous, okay? Make sure your resume reflects who you are, what you know, what you can do. Optimize your online presence also. Leverage platforms like LinkedIn to showcase your expertise, engage with professionals in your field, and attract the attention of recruiters. There's a ton of best practices. There's a bunch of videos on the channel to check out how to spruce up your LinkedIn. So make sure you do that. That's going to put you in a better position and honestly make you feel more confident about you, which is how you're going to start slapping imposter syndrome around a little bit. Now, a bonus item, be true to yourself. Don't fake it till you make it, right? You know a bunch of stuff and you don't know a bunch of stuff. So be real for that. So for the things you know, help out. If someone asks a question, you know the answer, offer it up. If you can do a job, just do it, right? Lean into these things. And for the things you don't know, be real. Hey, I don't know as much about that. Or where did you learn that? I could use an improvement on that. Or yeah, I'm just going to go for it and I'm going to try it and I'll do the best I can, but there are some gaps there. Be real with yourself, okay? You're going to feel much more confident in your ability to execute. Like, it's literally the opposite of imposter, right? In confidence, but just be real about it, okay? Now that we've discussed turning negatives into positive, let's dive into advice on overcoming imposter syndrome and thriving in the cybersecurity career that you're going to have. Now, I want to share a personal anecdote of a personal story of mine. Anytime in my career that I've been taking a promotion type step, going from, auditor to risk analyst, or tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3, or even most notably, when I was going to go for my first CISO role. I always have self-doubt, questions. Can I do it? Am I going to be capable of it? I've always counseled mentors that I've accumulated on the way, or people whose opinion I respect. Hey, do you think that I can do this role? You know me. Do you think I could do the CISO role? Do you think I can deliver on this commitment? Do you think it's more, am I making it more difficult than it is? What's the real deal with this role? So by getting those answers, I don't have a bunch of unknowns that I'm just coming up with the worst case scenario on what the answers are. I'm getting actual information and, more importantly, getting an external perspective to objectively evaluate me or you to render an opinion that's not influenced by the subjective bias of imposter syndrome goes a long way to letting you know what the actual perception is of your ability to execute on a job or be able to do a CTF or give a talk at a conference or whatever. It definitely goes a long way. Now, like Oprah, you get a valuable tip, you get a valuable tip, you get a valuable tip. I'm going to give out some valuable tips that I've picked up from my career from seasoned professionals who have faced and conquered imposter syndrome in their careers. So seek mentorship. Connect with experienced professionals in the field who can offer guidance, share their experiences, and provide insights into navigating your career. This is number one because, literally, as my example, my personal story just showed, I literally do this every time that it's a growth opportunity or something like that. Even switching jobs. Should I quit my job? Should I go? I quit a reliable job to go work at a tech startup. You think I didn't have some concerns about that? Number two, embrace your limitations. Recognize that you can't know everything in the cybersecurity field. Be real with that. I'm telling you right now, I've been at this game for 20 plus years and I cannot decompile and reverse engineer an Android APK in any level of acceptable time frame. With enough time, energy, and effort, I could probably do it, but that's not my strengths, right? I'm not a mobile malware analyst. But identify these gaps and work on them and appreciate that unique value you bring to the table. For the Android APK, if that's what I wanted to do, well, then guess what? Here's where the no easy button happens. You got to lean into it. Download some malware, right? Build a safe lab to analyze it. Start analyzing. Look at it statically. Look at it dynamically. Build that information, build that knowledge, and become more confident in it, right? Build confidence through vulnerability as well. Don't be afraid to ask stupid questions or admit when you don't know something. This demonstrates a willingness to learn and can lead to breakthroughs in understanding. This is why Simply Cyber's community is all about supportive and inclusion, because I, just like everybody else, has questions that we don't know that we think everybody else does, and we're afraid to ask them, and that's ridiculous. And I know how it feels. It feels pressure. It feels intimidating. It feels like you're making yourself out to be, kind of but trust me, ask those questions. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable when asking those questions. You will be so happy when you get the answers. And you know what? As a side, if you ask a question and someone's making fun of you or being a jerk, see ya, bye-bye. You don't need to be there. There's plenty of great, supportive, inclusive communities in cybersecurity, and that toxicity, see you later, pal. Keep a record of your successes also. Like I mentioned earlier, when you're reflecting on them, whenever you receive positive feedback or achieve a milestone, write it down. Save it somewhere. Use it to remind yourself, to boost your confidence when self-doubt creeps in. You're amazing. Remember that. Number 5, maintain a work-life balance. Seriously, don't let imposter syndrome consume your personal life. Take time for you. Engage in the hobbies you enjoy. Maintain a healthy balance to ensure your overall well-being. It'll keep you in the right mindset, too, to be able to conquer stuff. Now, this leads me to my final bit of business with a quote from a friend, a colleague who I know, Chris Hughes. Be more connected with not learning than not knowing. Far too often, due to feelings of inadequacy, imposter syndrome, ego, and so on, people will refrain from asking questions in meetings and on projects because they will get exposed as not knowing things. I prefer to flip this paradigm on its head, and I'm far more concerned with not learning what I don't know than keeping up the facade that I do know. People are eager to share their experience, insight, and expertise. You just have to be willing to ask them. The irony of this is when you shed that defense tactic, you end up learning a ton more. Chris actually used a cuss word there, so I'm editing it. And you'll be more confident in the long haul as well. Now, if we don't learn, we don't grow. And if we don't grow, we absolutely lose. Great insight and perspective from Chris Hughes. That's going to do it for this episode of Simply Cyber. I hope you got value out of it. Obviously, hit the like button, subscribe if you enjoy content like this. I do live streams every single weekday morning on threat briefings with hundreds of like-minded cybersecurity professionals doing the support, doing the inclusion, doing the networking, helping each other out. Come join us. You're going to have a good time. I guarantee it. Until the next one, I'm Gerry with Simply Cyber. Stay secure.